Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Coffee Talk from Planet Fair. My name is Henrike von Platen, and I'm talking with
Margrét Bjarnadóttir.
So good to see you again. Cheers with a coffee today.
Exactly. So I think it might be a good idea to spend our 8 minutes this Friday on certifications. Because there's been a lot of talk about pay equity and approaches to pay equity. And then we see these different certifications pop up. So maybe we can start just by me asking you, what was your motivation behind starting the Universal Fair Pay Check?
The motivation actually was being faster in the whole topic. And the idea is that I've done a lot of awareness raising campaigns up front with the Equal Pay Day that people know about. And I got to a point saying, if we keep on doing all this, we're just getting to Planet Fair is taking so long. Getting to close the gap is taking so long. So we need to get more speed into it. By going to the companies directly and taking the certification as a tool, it speeds up the process. When companies start to get certified, they are doing it by their own will. They're trying to do something to become better and to show that they are good. And they're getting it certified from an external third party. And if one does and two does and more do, and it's a worldwide movement, then we will be a lot faster than if we're waiting like for the next legislation that, for example, in Germany tend to be very slow coming, and then the content isn't sort of the content that will speed you up to really close gaps. So the speed was really the main motivation behind it.
Okay, very cool. Because it's interesting that you talk about legislation, coming very slowly, and we know the EU directive is coming, but very slowly because the member states need to come up with their own regulations, yada. So while we wait for all of that, maybe you can speak to a little bit why companies go for the certification. What do they see as a benefit?
I think the one part that you always see from certification is, of course, that you have this external party checking where you're standing. I sometimes try to compare it with inspection of your car that you do on an annual or 2-year basis or whatever, to make sure that your brakes are functioning, to make sure that you're really paying fairly, so that your employees will usually tend to believe a third party more than their own CEO saying, of course we pay everybody fairly, and then they go into the corner and he can say a lot, but la la la. So it's that third party effect that the certification brings in general. And as in general, I wasn't always a friend of certifications because you have so many little things on your yogurt when you buy it, and you never know which one is sort of the right yogurt and the right biological seal and if it's real. That was the reason why we went the let's say the stony little road of making it an EU certification mark. So it's like FPI giving a warranty that what's in there, the regulation stating that you're paying fairly and that you're closing your gap, we are really warrantying it through this certification mark. And I think that's sort of the highest benefit that you could get as a company, to have this third party check on your, let's say, on your data, on your gaps that you have, and then of course close them through the way. But you get that for your internal and for your external part actually as a benefit.
Yeah.
Legislation, you just have to comply. I mean, it's a have to, but nobody really knows if you do sometimes. So
yeah, so it's almost both for your internal communications with your own employees, but then also external as a signal that you are a fair workplace, you're an equitable workplace, and you want to promote yourself as a good place to work, and this might be a step in that direction.
Yeah. Plus, as you do it annually, because it's not something that you do once and it holds forever, because who knows what you're going to be doing with the next employee so higher, how you're going to changing. So you're monitoring yourself all your life, you could say, in a way, and making sure that you don't sort of go up or down again, but sort of stay to your commitment of being a fair paying employer, to put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. If I just add my own 2 cents, I think one of the benefits of certification is also best practice sharing. So I think that's the unique, or one of the true benefits, outside of, having this stamp of approval of what you're doing, but it can be a way to accelerate knowledge sharing. And that's what really makes me excited, that for these companies, you have experts that do nothing else day in and day out but pay equity, and being able to get pointers of, this is what other companies are doing, this is what you could be doing better. I think that's what's really valuable actually to companies.
Yeah, we see that as well. I mean, we have the quarterly fair pay management circle, so that's the best practice exchange of all companies that are sort of on the journey of the universal fair pay check. And it's really, it's fun, it's interesting, it's very rewarding to see that from small-sized to huge-sized companies together in one call, they all find ways to show where they stand, what they are doing, what little kind of special issue they are finding, and connecting to the others, and speeding up the process of not everybody has to do the same mistake again and again and again. You can also learn through best practice, not only through doing the mistakes yourself, and that helps a lot. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So how do you see all of this certification business in the context of the European directive? Are we going to throw certifications out the window in 2 years?
I've been thinking about that. Yes, I actually have been thinking about that. It could make certifications sort of, you don't need them anymore. And when I think about that, I think, oh, that would be great if there would come a tool around, and if it's a EU transparency directive, if that would be the one tool that would make sure that everybody is getting paid fairly, I would be really happy. But the more I look at it, the more I think, I don't think this will work, because I mean, you're missing the part of, you're again in the legislation, it's going to be transported to the national legislation in Europe. So we're missing some parts of the world as well. So it's only Europe. And then again, it's like, okay, but who will comply and how, and who's going to monitor it? What's sort of happening? So I'm like thinking, okay, I don't think that we can sort of throw our certification out the window and give it a good flight, but more adapt it a bit so that we are always like flexible, like saying, okay, once you've done this, you are prepared for the European directive. You've ticked that box as well, because I still have the feeling that the certification has a lot higher standard than the transparency directive. And nobody aims in certification to a zero pay gap, because somehow they think they can't do that. So no, I don't. I think we will be needed a bit longer. But for me, it would be great if it wouldn't be that long.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, because when I think about the directive and the standard that it sets, it's not that ambitious. And I think we can do better, and we should do better, right? So there I'm referring to that within groups of similarly situated workers, you can have up to 5% pay differences, which is way too much. And I would never argue that somebody's paying fairly if there's a 5%, adjusted pay gap. So I think we have to do better than the directive. So I think certifications will stick around even after the directive.
Yeah, I think so too. So we can keep planning on how to become even faster, but we will still need a couple of coffee talks until we've reached Planet Fair, I think.
Exactly.
And on that note, I see the time. We are 8 minutes, and thank you so much, Margrét. I wish you a great time and see you soon again.
Yes, thank you, Henrike. Bye.
Bye-bye.